with over 28% of Australia's resident population being born overseas, and 7.6 million visitors each year. Australia is increasingly seeing the benefits of a multicultural society. But what is it that brings people to this country? Is it the landscape, the lifestyle, or the holiday destinations? In this program, we aim to answer that very question and delve into the lives of those who have recently immigrated to Australia. We will examine how they got here, the challenges they faced in the new surroundings, and ultimately, why they decided to stay, and now call Australia home.
I'm from Dublin in Ireland, and I came originally to Australia in 1986.
I'm from Slovenia. I came to Australia last year in November.
What was the big reason that you came to Australia, and did it sort of live up to the expectations that you were hoping for when you came here?
Certainly. After the year's working holiday, I decided to emigrate back out permanently. Over the years it's exceeded our expectations enormously. I suppose coming from Ireland, especially at the end of the year, which is in the middle of our winter, the skies are grey, everything is grey, people wore dark clothes. When I came here it was just everything was blue and bright and people in bright clothes, and that was a huge contrast. It was fantastic.
I was thinking about it to move out of Slovenia, and so Australia was my second choice. I was thinking about moving to Canada, then we were talking about it with my wife, and now too cold, let's go to Australia.
Once you kind of came into Australia, what was the sort of community response?
We had to form our own groups, and being Irish, the attraction was to all the Irish clubs. So there was an Irish club in Brisbane City, and there was also a Gaelic football club which we joined and got to know friends.
Right away.
That's great.
I felt a connection. I was expecting a beautiful country, beautiful, nice people, but not that much.
What were the sort of hurdles and things that you had to get through as part of the immigration process in Australia at the time?
I travelled out with my boyfriend of the time, which then became my husband, and he was a motor mechanic by trade. Unusual trades like that Australia didn't have a huge abundance of. They were the ones that were sought after. I was sponsored in by his skills so we could get in, become permanent residents, but I had to get married as a result of that.
Right now on a tourist visa, but I found a sponsor, so right now we're applying for a sponsorship visa.
When you arrived in Australia and as you were sort of making your life here, what were the sort of challenges that you faced?
We were coming to a place where we didn't have anyone. There was no internet, there was no email, and telephone calls were hugely expensive. So to keep in touch was really writing letters and waiting for those to be returned, and on the odd occasion you'd make an international call. It was very, very expensive, but you still did it to keep in touch. But I found that the most challenging.
I was away from my family, that separation. I have to move on, they will come after me. So.
When you first moved to Australia, what were the sort of plans that you had, and how did they sort of come to fruition as you moved through?
When we'd come out first on a working holiday, we came to husband's cousin who lived in Sydney, who was also a motor mechanic, and it was that lead in that we came out on the working holiday and based ourselves there to travel around Australia and get a feel for what this country had to offer. When we came to Brisbane, we came to relatives of mine. She offered us their home, which was their family home, to stay as long as we needed. I didn't know much about Brisbane, and it was a bit of a shock when we first came and started living here in 1989. But as we all know, it's grown since then and become a great city.
First arrived as a tourist. My first city was actually Brisbane. Wow, I like it really good. Found a job. I felt so welcome everywhere. It's the best place to live in. That's it.
Our population is growing at one of the fastest rates in the developed world. Guest workers are arriving in increasing numbers, but these guest workers tend to want to stay, to become full social, economic and cultural participants in our country. It is therefore crucial for policymakers to understand migrants' motivations for moving to and staying in Australia to ensure that settlement processes meet their needs. Regardless of the practicalities of being able to call Australia home, it is clear that we are truly lucky that we can.